Good morning. I'm Ron Corning. Thank you for joining us. And we just spoke about some of what we're seeing online from organizations disappointed that more wasn't done to evacuate animals from Afghanistan, many of which work closely with military personnel in situations of rescue and investigation and so forth. We've also seen with natural disasters, most recently Hurricane Ida, the efforts of Animal Investigation and Response, or AIR. And Monica Ailey is the president. She's joining us now to talk more about the work they do, how this work has come to be in natural disasters, and how they are always present in such situations, including Ida. Thank you for joining us, Monica.
Well, thank you for having me.
What is your #1 goal, for example, when this Hurricane Ida was forecast? I mean, do you immediately think to yourself, okay, how many people there have pets? How many of those pets could be in peril? And what can we do to mitigate any problems?
Absolutely. We always think about that. We, as weather is forming in the Gulf and whatnot, we are watching that very closely. And we've learned a lot since Hurricane Katrina, and it was crazy that Hurricane Ida was approaching on the 16th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. So I was actually there in New Orleans 16 years ago. And so this was kind of really unreal and surreal watching this happen. But we have learned a lot since then. And what we are seeing is that the model has changed. We are seeing shelters pre-evacuating their general population of animals that are in the affected areas. Unfortunately, sometimes it takes a lot of resources that these agencies do not have. So mitigating that, we do, throughout the year, we meet with these agencies to try and help them plan, to have a plan to get these animals out before it actually hits, so they don't have to hunker down.
Yeah, and you have to strike a balance too. I know you have to be focused on your work in evacuating animals while others are focused on rescuing people, because you don't want to be in a situation where someone says, why is it you appear to care more about animals than people? I mean, you're always trying to strike that balance that we're trying to be empathetic to and care for everyone, be they the people who live there or members of their family, their furry family members. When you pre-evacuate shelters, obviously those animals have to be taken someplace. Was that a lesson learned from Katrina, to have a network of shelters that are out of state but close enough that you can transport them safely and there is room available?
Absolutely. So what happens with that, what's really nice about that, is that those animals that were already in the shelters were shelter animals. And so what, in moving some of these, partnering with some of these other states and these other organizations, moving them up and out of harm's way opens up the shelters in the affected areas to continue to receive animals after the storms. And so they can continue to be a resource to their community. And the animals that are being found, stray, left behind, whatever it may be, they end up staying in their location. So when their owners go to look for them, it's easier to find them. And one of the points that you made about all that is that the human animal bond is so strong, and there isn't anything. I don't think we need to challenge that, because as we see, people will risk their lives for their animals, and animals that they don't even know. So
yeah. I would think that with a hurricane, it's forecast, so to some degree it's predictable. Of course, we never know exactly where it will make landfall or exactly how large that storm will be or how impactful it will be. Then you've got tornadoes, which can be sort of come out of nowhere, and you're left to almost do, for lack of a better term, a triage operation where you're rushing in to a relatively unknown situation. How do you deal? What are some of the other tasks you're called on to do that don't involve natural disasters?
Well, we stay really busy throughout the year with large-scale animal cruelty cases. So things like puppy mills, boarding cases, cockfighting, dogfighting cases, anything large number. We are equipped with 2 40-foot response trailers, and all the supplies that you can think of in large numbers. And so that is what we specialize in. And we answer calls throughout the state of Texas.
One more quick question before we go. There is an overcrowding of shelters, a lot of pets being surrendered post-pandemic. And I know that that's putting shelters in a difficult place. Some are really left with no option but to euthanize. What could you say about that? What is being done about that? What can be done about it?
Well, during the pandemic, people were home a lot, and we saw this influx of people being interested in adopting, and I guess really my message to the world would be that animals are not disposable, and that we need to figure out there are resources out there, whether it be fencing or training or anything like that, and so reach out to your local organizations to see if you can there are resources that you can keep your animals in your home, and work with these organizations, because ultimately that is what we want. We all want a happy home for every animal in this world.
Yeah, and don't be impulsive. Think it through. Make sure you know what the costs are, and if you can afford really to give an animal the home it deserves. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And we want to direct people to Animal Investigation and Response, known as AIR. There is their website, animalinvestigationandresponse.org, also on Facebook and Twitter. And we really appreciate this segment.